Welcome back to the channel, new friends. So today we're going to start on a new series of videos dedicated to a game that's taken up a significant portion of my life, Warhammer. More specifically, the 30,000-40,000 era of Warhammer. There's plenty of lore channels out there, from the extremely in-depth and detailed videos made by Luton to the monotone twins who read word for word off the wiki. I won't even mention them by name. To a coked up Aussie with ADHD and just about everything in between. For these lore videos, I'll be switching up the format. Instead of doing my personal thoughts section at the end of the video, I'll just be speaking at the beginning before jumping into the lore and ending each video with the chapter war cry said by a dreadnought. That might get some of you excited, others won't understand. So, if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to hit those like and sub buttons to make this your safe place, and let me know what you thought with a comment, and I'll apologize ahead of time, because this isn't a deep dive into the lore, so I'm definitely gonna miss the finer details, so please be sure to correct me down below in the comment section. With all that out of the way, let's get into it with the true heroes of Warhammer 40k. A short bus packed with the unluckiest bastards in a setting known for being grimdark. The checkered cabs of misery, known for having the literal most pain-in-the-ass pauldrons to paint, literally the only chapter which treats civilians better than the Salamanders do, which would probably get them a big ol' hug from their Uncle Vulcan. The sons of Sanguinius, known as the Lamenters. So, the Lamenters came into being as a result of the 21st founding of new chapters, which is often referred to as the Cursed Founding, because many of the chapters spawned off that founding either fell to heresy, had terribly unstable gene seed, which led to ridiculous mutations, were wiped out, or a combination of all of the above. Being as no one gets to be a pure, wholesome thing in the universe of Warhammer, the Lamenters were able to escape the dual gene curses their kin are bound to, those being the Red Thirst, which is what makes all Blood Angels and their successor chapters basically space vampires. The second curse is the Black Rage. This is a psychic curse which happened after the Blood Angels Primarch Sanguinius was killed by his brother Horus, the Primarch of the Luna Wolves and champion of Chaos Undivided. Those sons of Sanguinius afflicted by the Black Rage believed themselves to actually be Sanguinius during his final hours, stuck hallucinating in a blind rage which causes them to attack any and all persons nearby, thinking them to be Horus. Obviously, this is a problem when you've got a demigod space vampire running around the battlefield absolutely losing their shit like a hobo on bath salts. It was thought the Lamenters didn't suffer from either of these issues, which is the hypothesized reason for their absolutely abysmal luck, including why they're known to suffer bouts of extreme melancholy or depression. But eventually the Red Thirst and the Black Rage did surface in them, so that ludicrous bad luck of theirs is really all for naught. And speaking on their luck, however, let's just get into how terrible it really is. Due to that bad luck reputation of theirs, just about all the other chapters of the Adeptus Astartes avoid the Lamenters like fucking lepers, to the point some chapters have straight up abandoned them mid-fight, or refused to come to the Lamenters' aid whatsoever. This, however, hasn't stopped the Lamenters from doing what's right, often paying a severe price in blood to see their missions through. Unfortunately for them, that means they've never truly been at full strength as a chapter. They've barely avoided their entire chapter being wiped out on multiple occasions, and even when they did find themselves another chapter to be friends with in the Astral Claws, turns out the Astral Claws were fucking outright heretics that tricked the Lamenters into fighting on the heretic side during an event some of you will know as the Badab War. Obviously, after finding out their best friends were fucking heretics, the Lamenters were pretty broken up about it, until another chapter named the Minotaurs, used almost exclusively to deal with bad Space Marine chapters essentially known as Renegades, showed up and actually broke the Lamenters. To be more specific, the Minotaurs showed up, picked up the Lamenters, broke them over their knee like Randy Orton dropping RKOs in a fucking kindergarten, and then stole a bunch of the Lamenters stuff because they could. After this shit show, the Lamenters were forced to go on a penitent crusade, which means they were told to ride out into space on a crusade for 100 years in which they would receive no support whatsoever. Then, of course, they ran directly into High Fleet Kraken, which is the biggest Tyranid fleet that's ever been seen in the Imperium. The same High Fleet which nearly erased the Blood Angels' homeworld in all of its successor chapters. After their fight with the High Fleet, the Lamenters limped away with less than 3 full companies of Astartes left. A company has about 100 Marines per, so they had less than 300 Lamenters left. Not even a quarter of their original number. So how are the Lamenters doing now, would be the next question to answer. Actually, the Lamenters are for the first time in centuries at full strength, being as good old Guilliman showed up with his Indominus crusade, though the main purpose of that crusade is to show the universe that the Imperium has gotten its shit together by going around pimp-slapping everyone and everything that is an enemy to the Imperium of Man. It's also announced that Guilliman has returned alive and well. The next reason in line for the Indominus Crusade is to spread Primaris Marines around to all the different chapters. Consider it a showcase of sorts for the Primaris Marines, along with showing up at opportune moments to do all of the aforementioned objectives. All of the chapters are being given a massive boon of fresh gene seed, along with Primaris Marines to integrate into their ranks, which of course the Lamenters did so happily. Apart from getting their asses beat by High Fleet Kraken to near extinction, the Lamenters are once again a force to be reckoned with, though it's just a matter of time until their anti-luck kicks back in and nearly decimates them. Now that we're all caught up on the timeline lore, I could speak about the notable Lamenters across the centuries, but I'd like to end this video speaking about only one of them, which you'll see why I consider it appropriate, as some of you will understand immediately when you hear the name, and the rest of you will get confused at first, but you'll catch up. So, this particular Lamenter currently resides with Team Talon of the Ordo Xenos Death Watch. His original name is Amadeus Cryophiles. Before being interred within a dreadnought, he now simply goes by the name Chiron. Chiron was assigned to the Death Watch just before contact with the Lamenters was lost as they encountered High Fleet Kraken. This has caused Chiron to think he is the sole survivor of the Lamenters chapter. Of course, as I've spoken at length about the chapter and how it survives till this day, and is actually doing better than ever, poor Chiron still erroneously believes himself to be the last of his kin. While the Lamenters are famously known for their bouts of extreme depression, but otherwise cheerful demeanor when interacting with others, Chiron is an exception to this rule. He's a famously grumpy prick with a tremendously foul temper. Then again, who can blame him? A mangled and maimed body, locked away in a life-sustaining coffin, slapped into the chassis of a Furioso-patterned dreadnought indefinitely. Dreadnoughts are notoriously tough to kill. There's plenty of venerable dreadnoughts in the Imperium, with the longest living venerable dreadnought belonging to the Space Wolf chapter. His name is Bjorn the Fell-Handed, first great wolf of the chapter after Leman Russ fucked off into the Eye of Terror looking for a way to cure daddy issues. But Bjorn deserves its own video in the future, so I'll leave it there and finish up by telling the story about old grumpy Chiron. So, Team Talon is out and about hunting Xenos, as you do when you're a part of the Death Watch, and that's your literal specialty. When they're given an order to capture a certain Tyranid, and bring it back alive by a prick named Sigma. This idiot had gone so far as to threaten to kick Chiron out of the Death Watch, and with supposedly no chapter to return to, that would basically be a death sentence to the grumpy Dreddy. Now, what Sigma didn't realize is that Chiron knew Sigma was actually a beta who'd taken on the name Sigma to cover up just how much of a puss he really was, and that Chiron was a true Sigma male. Thus, after arriving on the planet Minotaur, and coming across the Tyranid they were supposed to capture and bring back alive, having underestimated Chiron's loss, his rage, and the need to seek out vengeance as a compressed ball of survivor's guilt, Team Talon stood up to Sigma as he attempted to berate and threaten the Dreadnought, stomping off to its stasis chamber, which awaited him. I imagine that as Sigma screamed and demanded an answer as to what happened to the Tyranid, Kyron stopped, pivoted enough for his speaker to point right at Sigma, and said a few short words before trudging off, continuing the tradition of Dreddy's getting the most badass one-liners in the lore.
It found a tomb beyond its worth. For those we cherish, we die in glory.